Kia ora koutou, I'm Sarah Stock from Learning Matters. Today I would like to introduce you to the Ideal Reading Skills Record. The Reading Skills Record has been specifically designed to support teachers with evaluating, monitoring and tracking progress of the children in their class. It will also support teachers with informing the next teaching steps in their classroom programs. The Reading Skill Record assesses reading accuracy, reading rate, fluency and comprehension. It has been designed to sit alongside the Ideal Scope and Sequence. The Reading Skills Record can be used with an unseen Ideal decodable text or with an unseen decodable reader that you have available in your school. Before beginning the assessment, make sure you have read through the guidelines and are familiar with the materials and the text that you will be using. Have a timer and a calculator ready. Ensure that you have the correct assessment with the ideal text that you will be using. If you are using the blank template and a decodable reader, ensure that you have counted the number of words in the text and that you have developed 2 literal questions and 2 comprehension questions. If you are unsure about those, there are some guidelines on the back that will support you with developing your questions. Now I will demonstrate how to administer the assessment. So today when you are reading to me, there is going to be a timer that's going to go off in 1 minute. When you hear that beeping, you just keep reading, okay? The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some notes on my piece of paper, okay? And when we finish the story, I'm going to ask you some questions. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Before we start reading the story, I'm going to let you have a little bit of a look through the book to see if you can see what's happening in it. And the name of our story is Dom the Cop. Oh, wonderful. Have a look through and see if you can see what's happening in the story. Who do you think this is?
Dom the Cop.
Maybe. And what do you think he's doing? You can keep flipping the pages.
Catching a criminal.
Maybe.
Here's the dog. Here's the cop's dog.
All right. Are we ready to read the story?
Yes.
Great. Remember, after 1 minute, when the buzzer goes, you just keep reading, and I'm also going to take some notes on this piece of paper. Okay, off you go.
Dom is a top man. Dom has a job. Dom has a job as a cop. Dom has a mow and he has a cop cap on top. Dom has pals. And need. Vic is a cop and need is a cop.
Okay, so now we're going to do the questions from after reading our story. Can you please tell me the main points of the story? Can you retell me the story?
Dom was by the police station. And he went to his police car. Then his dog came.
Can you talk about the story?
Then he saw a bad guy, then he captured him.
Okay, good job. All right. Who are Dom's pals?
Nick and Ned.
Okay. Why does Dom have a dog?
So the dog can help him capture the cat.
Do you think that Dom and Zach did a good job?
Yes,
Why do you think that?
because they captured the bad guys.
Well done. Okay, thank you for doing that reading with me today. Good job. When scoring the reading skills record, make sure you have the marking guide available. This student actually did very well in her assessment. She made no errors, only some self-corrections. These are not counted as errors. So I know that she got 94 words correct, which I don't need to do a calculation for that. For her accuracy, she actually scored 100%. To calculate the reading fluency, I need to know the average words per minute norms, which are on the marking guide. This child wasn't quite 6 years old, so I'm going to use 53 as my average here. Now I know that after 1 minute, she read 38 words. So I do a simple calculation. 38 correct words divided by the norm for her age times 100. And if I just round that to 72% in here. Now I need to take a look at the reading rubric. Read through each of the criteria and mark where you believe the child should be at for expression and volume, phrasing, smoothness, and pace. For this child, when I look here at expression and volume, I'm going to look at this end. Reads with volume and expression, however, sometimes the reader slips into expressionless reading and does not sound like they are talking to a friend. Or over here, reads with varied volume and expression. The reader sounds like they are talking to a friend with their voice matching the interpretation of the passage. I'm actually going to give her a mark here in 3. When I look at her phrasing, I'm also going to mark her at 3. I'm just going to take a look at smoothness. Reads with occasional breaks in rhythm. The reader has difficulty with specific words and or sentence structures. Reads smoothly with some breaks, but self-corrects with difficult words and or sentence structures. Okay, she actually did self-correct, and she only had some breaks when she was reading, so I'm going to give her a mark in here. I'm probably going to have a look in around here somewhere. Reads moderately slowly, reads fast and slow throughout the reading. I'm actually going to mark her about here. So now what I do is I simply do an addition. So I know that 3 and 3 is 6, and 4 is 10, and 2 is 12. And you will see that I am aiming for her to have a score of 10 or more. So I'm going to have up here that she had 12 out of 16 in the fluency rubric. And for her comprehension score, she actually scored 100% or 5 out of 5. If I was her classroom teacher, I'm just going to have a little look here at this reading fluency, because I know that for reading fluency, we'd like that to be 90% or more. So this is where we need to make an overall teacher judgment. You'll see down the bottom here, I need to consider this child in her classroom program, what she is doing, and also triangulating with this assessment. Now, just remember, I'm a complete stranger to this child. So when I have a look down here, take all scores into consideration and make an overall teacher judgment based on this assessment and classwork to inform your next teaching steps. A student who scores well in 4 out of the 5 sections can still progress if the teacher can simply adapt the teaching to meet the needs. So when I'm thinking about fluency, what am I going to focus a little bit more on my teaching is potentially building in a reading fluency component into my reading program. So therefore, I would deem this child ready to move on. Here is the story called Dom the Cob. Would you like to have a little look through that story and see what you think is happening in that story? Off you go. Oh, you can turn over to this next part. There you are. Now you see what's happening in there.
Is that a police station? He's saying hello. He called the cops. He's a dog.
Okay. Today when you are reading the story, I'm going to take some notes on this piece of paper. I'm also going to set this timer going and it's going to beep after 1 minute, okay? But when that beeps, you just keep reading, all right? And then I'm going to ask you some questions about the story at the end. All right, are you ready? All right, let's go. So our story is Dom the Cob. And I'll just press start on here when you start reading.
Do I have to read it?
Yeah, you're going to read me the story.
Dom is a top man. Dom has a job. Dom has a job. Has a cop.
Can you retell me the main points of that story using some detail? Not sure? Can you remember what happened in the story?
He gets a robber.
Okay. Who are Dom's pals?
Zach.
You're allowed to use the book if you like. Who are Dom's pals?
Cops.
What is Dom's job?
To be a cop.
Why does Dom have a dog?
I don't know.
Do you think Dom and Zach did a good job?
Yes.
Why's that?
Because they got the robber.
Nice. Thank you for your help today. You've done a really good job with your reading. See you later, mate. Let's take a look at the second child. Now this child has made some errors in the text. So I know that there were 5 errors and 1 blending error. Didn't blend the word back together correctly. So I am simply going to 94 words minus my errors equals my score for this part here. I now use this number, which is my score, and I'm going to divide it by the number of words that were in the text and times that by 100. Okay, so that gives me an accuracy rate, and I'm going to round that to 95%. Now I'm going to work out if the reading fluency rate is good. I can see that he read 28 words in 1 minute. And there's 1 self-correction there, so it's still correct. So when I look at this, I'm going to say 28 divided by the norm. He also was under 6 years old. And I'm going to round that to 53%. Once again, I'm going to have a look at the fluency rubric. So let's have a look here. Reads in a quiet voice. The reading sounds natural in part of the text, but the reader does not always sound like they're talking to a friend. That's a really good one to describe his reading. When I consider this child's phrasing, I know that he was reading a little bit more sort of in chunks. So I'm going to look at this end here. Reads word by word in a monotone voice. No, he wasn't quite there. Reads in 2 or 3 word phrases, not adhering to punctuation, stress and intonation. Reads with a mixture of run-ons, mid-sentence, pauses for breath and some choppiness. There is a reasonable... Okay, so I'm actually going to tick him in here where he's reading in those small groups of words before he pauses to make sure he's reading words correctly. If I think about the smoothness of his reading, I'm just going to read in here. Reads with extended pauses or hesitations. The reader has many rough spots. I'm just going to have a look here. Frequently hesitates while reading, sounds out words and repeats words and phrases. Okay, he didn't repeat himself. Multiple attempts to read the passage. No, okay, so I'm definitely going to give him a tick in here. And then when I think about his pace, reads slowly and laboriously, reads moderately slowly. I'm actually going to give him a tick in here as well. So when I look at this, 2, 4, 6, 8, he's actually scored below 10. So I'm going to give him that mark here out of 16. Now we look at comprehension. It's very easy to see that he didn't do a very good retell and needed the book to do so. He got 2 questions wrong and 2 questions right. If I have a look in here, it also tells me how to work that out. So I can look at his total number of correct answers, 2, and I'm going to divide that by the total questions and times that by 100. So he got 40%. Once again, I need to make an overall teacher judgment about whether this child is ready to move on or not. He actually had okay accuracy. He's at that 95%, and we're looking for above 90. However, his reading fluency was well below the 90%. He was also below 10 on the fluency rubric, and he was only at 40% comprehension. When I consider these 3 areas, I know that he needs to spend a little bit more time at this level. If you are using a decodable reader on the blank template, simply write the title of the story and how many words are in the book. When the child is reading, you can simply indicate correct words, or if they have an error, sounding and blending, and so on. On the back of the reading skills record on the blank template is where you write your 2 literal questions and your 2 inferential questions. If you are unsure, there are some guidelines here to support you. I'm sure that you'll find the assessment process simple and useful for your teaching programs.